Shalom, folks. How everybody doing today? I got another video, or in terms of this video, the identities of Shem, lies of Japheth, and Ham's faces. Ooh, pardon me, I had a burp. Uh, I'm gonna condense them down, and I'm gonna break them into three separate parts. So the first part will be about Shem, the second part about Japheth, and the third part about Ham. So we're gonna get into it. Let's go. Again, three separate videos. They won't be too long, honestly. It'll be much shorter. It'll be digestible for the derps. So I got y'all. First disclaimer. You can pause and read. Second disclaimer. You can pause and read. Most important disclaimer. So, yeah. Inspirations. You can pause and read them. Video sources. Alright, let's get into it. The modern narrative. In terms of understanding and seeing forth what's presented to us as the modern narrative, we are in general raised and conditioned to understand that we Afro Americans, or the misnomer being Black Americans, African Americans, are originally from Africa. Within the same modern narrative, having the notions of Caucasians being native inhabitants of Europe and what we call modern Asians being native to Asia. In this video, we'll be exploring the reasons of why this modern narrative is false and furthermore lies propagated by those in power, such as the traitorous councils of men and their ties to the hidden ones being the serpent. It is falsely taught to much of the general public that the sons of Noah are described as the following. They call Shemites, the Phoenicians, Ashkenazim, Sephardi, Aryans, Arabs, Akkadians, Middle Eastern, Iranians, and etc. Japhethites being Mongolians, Turks, Russians, Siberians, Western and Eastern Europeans. And Hamites being North Africans, Sub-Saharan Africans, modern Egyptians, modern Berbers, East Indians, Kushites, West Asian groups such as the Nepalese and Bangladesh peoples. Oh, let me go back. Just to conclude this part, this is all, and again, it's in the name, falsified views. So this is just false, just wrong. But let's go. The identities of Shem. We're getting into it. Who is Shem? The nations of Shem, the sons of Shem warring, the hidden black hand, the Shemites of Psalms 83. The meaning of Semitic. It firstly means a group of Afro-Asiatic languages that are those spoken by people of those cultures that bear those languages. The first part of the word quite literally referring to a hairstyle that belongs to Afro people in the very sense. The second part of the word being deemed offensive and being updated to Asian, which means a native or inhabitant of Asia. If if this is the case in regards to what Semitic means, then how come the term isn't applied to any of the peoples that have these characteristics? The only applicable traits that do apply would be them living in those areas now. Where are the features that match any of these characteristics? So I understand that they like to say that Semitic, basically, Afro-Asiatic means just basically meaning a grouping of languages. But you have to look at language as a part of what defines a culture. One of the most defining parts of what makes a culture in the first place is the language, but also the people who speak that same language or who originally spoke those languages specifically, who developed them, and who lived to speak those languages wholeheartedly, right? So again, you break down the term Afro Asiatic, and then you get literally Afro and Asiatic, which we're about to get into right now. So just remember that a language is part of a culture, a big part of a culture, right? First, we'll get into where the term Semitic or Shem or Shemitic comes from, being Shem himself. Shem is Saim. According to Strong's Concordance 80:34, Shem's name is derived first from Sawum and secondly, perhaps from Shemayim. It is stated to be an appellation as a mark or title, but doesn't appear to be his actual name. If we follow and search Sawum according to Strong's Concordance 7760, we will find the name Saim a primitive root which means to appoint, call a name, cast in, or change or charge. Modern sources often say or infer that Shem means shame, which is simply untrue, with evidence now backing that the fact it means anything but for him being righteous or following law as he learned from Noah his father. So again, Shem took charge in covering the nakedness of his father, which we'll get into later what that is in another video. But Ham was wilding, we'll just say that. But again, Shem was the first one to get up and take charge and do the right action in accordance to the laws given to him by his father Noah. Again, there was a covenant that Noah made with his sons and their sons. You can look that up. Research. Yeah, I can research. Oh, there it is. Afro evidence. So again, the first meaning, the first part of the, when we break the term into two parts, Afro-Asiatic, we must look at Afro. And Afro specifically means, in the first usage of the noun, a hairstyle of tight curls in a full, evenly rounded shape. Hence, Afro would be an adjective, but we're talking about the noun, Afro. The second, which is the combining form, is variants of Afro or Afro, meaning Afro as in African, but look how they put Afro-American and Afro-Asiatic. So when we talk about Afro-Asiatic, put aside it meaning language group and realize what the term can actually, not can, but actually means. They're talking about people who bear afros, such as Afro-Americans, Africans, or Afro-Asiatics. And when you look at Asiatic, or the more less offensive term Asian, since it's deemed sometimes offensive, it's still used though. The latter persists in many names of kinds of flora and fauna, such as the Asiatic lily, which we covered in my video. No, again, the Israelites and Buddhism, and again with the Asiatic elephant. Now, Asiatic still has some geographical designator, right? Meaning the Asiatic side of the Bosphorus, but Asiatic just basically means Asian, and Asian basically means native or inhabitant of Asia. That's all Asian means, right? So we have to remember that, and we can see that Afro. What like why use Afri? Why not use Afro instead of Afri? Unless you're talking about something else that doesn't really make sense, right? Like you can see that again. African comes from Middle English, but it goes back to Old English, Africanus, Canis, borrowed from Latin Africanus, which was just a province in Africa that Rome had, you know, province of Africa, modern day or present day northern Tunisia on the continent of Africa. So again, we know that Rome is Edom, and Edom was on the list of nations of Psalms 83, which I'll get into later. So you can't take the word on many things as is, because they hated us, you know. So we should keep in mind that again, why aren't they using the term Afro? Or why aren't they using the term Afri instead of Afro? If you're talking about Africans, shouldn't it not just be Afri-Asiatic languages? That would make much more sense. Linguistics aside, or just no, like we know they're often changing the definitions and how terms are spelled and made all the time. Again, language is very malleable, so why not just go with Afri instead of Afro? It would make sense, but it's sprinkling in that little bit of truth that they like to do. Because, unfortunately, people, especially our people, we don't like to read. So we don't look into the subtleties of it. The best way to hide information is to put it in the book. Because more often than not, we don't read. We go off of hearsay and word of mouth instead of defining it for ourselves and researching it. And again, the first definition of it: a hairstyle of tight curls in a full, evenly rounded shape. You don't see Africa until it's mentioned in the second term, but we're going by the original. If that was the case, it would go into it just being African. But again, it doesn't make sense, right? Now let's get into the fact that swarthy is black. According to Webster's 1828 dictionary, Swarthy means to be dark of complexion and synonymous with black. Africans being described as such, being black of skin, but so are some Europeans as well. Why distinguish the two words to begin with if they hold relevance to the people labeled under them? People being labeled under them, my apologies. Simple, word games are being played to hide the truth and reality. So this is the American Dictionary of the English language, right? This is 1828. Swarthy. Being of a dark hue or dusky complexion, tawny in warm climates, the complexion of men is universally swarthy or black. If it doesn't mean black, why do you put or black as that? Like that there's a disconnect happening, right? Because you would understand just logical reasoning and just simple deduction. Swarthy is black. That's all it is. The Moors, Spaniards, Italians are more swarthy than the French, Germans, and English. So I can understand the Moors being black, right, or swarthy, but then it's seemingly lumping in the Spaniards and Italians. We know for a fact that they're white. Or you look at their complexion is much closer to that of said French, Germans, and English than it is the Moors. So wouldn't this imply that they were originally the Spaniards and Italians swarthy, as in black? Look at that, swarthy or black. Their swarthy hosts would darken all our plains, according to Benjamin Franklin's essay, which I have on the next slide, I think. Black as the swarthy African. Look at that. So we could simple deduction will lead you to the fact that the Spaniards and Italians were black. At least back during 1828, they were black. As far back as that, right? You can see that. This is what it's talking about. Let's get into it. Words from the past. From Benjamin Franklin's essay, Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, Peopling of Countries, circa, etc., circa 1751. As we can see here, I'm just going to, well, you can pause and read it, but I'm just going to go over it real quick. Look at that. Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them? And will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire a complexion. You mean to tell me that the so-called Anglos are a Germanic race of people, but you mean to tell me that the Germans are somehow darker, but they come from said Germanic regions originally, their ancestors? You can see the problem here, right? In terms of just you can see the problem in terms of how they say that Europe was always white. In reality, it wasn't. Because why would he go off this? Why would Benjamin go off to make this much of a distinction between Germans and quote unquote Anglo Saxons? Look at that. Leads me to remark that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All of Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America exclusive of the newcomers wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, Swedes are generally what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also. We just read in the previous definition right here. This is only 77 years after, and we see that swarthy is black. It's black as a swarthy African. So he indirectly states that these are black people, and not just black people, but look here. Why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity? He ain't talking about slaves. They're not talking about slaves. They're talking about the black European nations that were also colonizing the Americas at the time. He just stated that, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, and the Swedes, and the Germans are what we call of a swarthy complexion. We see that swarthy even 77 years after this was written means black. And look, he says that they can't, that any more than they can acquire our complexion. You mean to tell me that a sunburnt or a suntanned white dude can't just marry another white person and just produce a white child, and like that's I know it's a poor example, but to me it just seems like, hey, they're all black, and only us, the Anglos, are we are we're the only white people. And again, if you saw my Buddhism is not well, aside from my Buddhism is Israel or Israel and Buddhism. Also, if you saw my the Yushi being the Israelites, is that the Saxons. Well, I misspelled that bad. Israelites, but the Saxons, they're not Anglos and Saxons. It's contested throughout much history, but they were originally two separate tribes, which is true. And again, Anglos are not. They're not part of the Saxons. Anglos are just simply Anglos. They've just taken on names, as we know Japheth takes names. Or I'll showcase that later. But yeah. But again, Anglifying them. They are the Anglos. He didn't say Anglo-Saxifying them. If he said like Anglo-Saxifying them, that'd be different. But Anglifying them, you know that they're not Saxons. They're not Anglo-Saxons. So you gotta stop. They're the Anglos. They are also, well, again, they're Japheth. So yeah. All of Europe being swarthy or tiny. Even Russia and the Americas and even Africa. Tiny can, well, just means a hue of separate yellows essentially. But like, I'm talking more or less about who? Black Europe, baby. Look at that. The Iberians, deriving from Eber. Eber was the fourth great grandson of Shem. Saim, Shem of Europe. You gotta remember, Japheth, according to Genesis 27, Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. The tents of Shem meaning land. It doesn't mean flesh, it doesn't mean spiritual places. No, it quite literally means land of Shem. Dwelling in the lands of Shem. Japheth shall be enlarged, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. My apologies, enlarged. And if you look up enlarged, oh, you saw the disclaimer in the video. You know where I'm going with this. One of the descriptors or definitions for Patha H6601, according to Strong's Concordance, means to be deluded, to be simple, to deceive, essentially to lie. And we know that much of history we're taught is a lie. Because look at these images. These are blacks. These are Negroes. This man got the Odell Beckham haircut. Look at that. Blonde. Look at that. He got the line up. You got another Negro right there. Back, white gloves. Look at the contrast. The complexions are contrasting. Look at that. You can't tell me the faint painted or the paint's messed up because you got white gloves. You got the ODZ on his head. Why is this man decked out in a full suit of armor? I think this is a Saint George. I think a Saint Maurice. I know she's a Danish or Norse princess. I forget the name of, but why do these images exist, right? Why do they exist? You mean to tell me that black people can't accomplish or do anything, but we have these images that somehow exist? It's kind of weird, man. That's kind of weird. That's all I'm gonna say. It's very weird activity. It's strange. Strange works. Yeah, that's weird. And he even got more descendants of Shem, Saim of Europe. Why she? They want to say that this woman was a slave, but a slave ain't decked out in gold and fresh fabrics like that and holding. That don't make any sense. Is all I'm saying. That don't make any sense. I know this is another Danish or Norse king, northerner right here. But look at the complexion. You can see the clothes he's wearing. Why isn't his skin matching? You get what I mean? If he's white, so like you gotta, we got, just look at it. That's all I'm gonna say. And I know that these are Peruvians, but again, these are also the quote unquote descendants of the Spanish. Why they got them black people? Look at that lineup right there. Look at that. Look at that lineup. But again, you can see the Afro texture. Like, why they look like that? You mean to tell me that black people in general, Africans in general, haven't accomplished anything and they can't do nothing, but we have these images of them being in Europe and and also in the Americas right here specifically. Like, look at that. Why do these exist? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Again, Shem came from Eurasia. We were given all the habitable land, meaning, again, the majority of the Asian continent belongs to Shem. Outside of the far north, such as the Siberic regions in Russia, that's us. I'm talking like from Europe to China, that belongs to Shem. That includes India. Yeah. And let's get into Asia. Again, you have black Buddha figures. Look at that, man. Now I know Ham is also originally dark, but you also look at the hair textures. You can't see it too well in this image, but again, hey, he was also in Asia. I know y'all have seen this guy a few times around. Yeah, he look like my grandpa, mother grandpa. Look at that, man. You got the bushy brows. You got that facial hair. You got the thick lips. Look at that pronounced nose. That's a that's an Afro-Asiatic man. That's a Negro. Same with him. You see the high cheekbones. You see the thick lip. You see the nose, and the texture of the hair. Negroes, man. You can't make this up. Again, why? Like, why? You keep saying, "Oh, we're from Africa, Africa this, Africa that." Yeah, I can't build anything, but we know again, according to the blessing that they received, they lie. They're more inclined to lie, and it's like you break down the term Afro-Asiatic. You have Afro people who came from Asia. Europe is literally just the arm of Asia, so they're like, come on. And the identities of Shemsaim everywhere. Again, ancient Chinese statues, big noses. Like, look at these Afrocentric features. And Russia with the black iconography that makes Japheth lose their minds over it. The actual truth. Even in Cambodia, you can see the pronounced nose and lips, the facial hair, man. Look at those Negro features. Negro features. Definitely Negro features. This is Edom. Don't forget Negro features. India, you have the crows. They want to say it's snail shells, but that's stupid because no one's gonna fall for that. Negro features with curls. Even in Mexico, you had Shem's presence over there. Negro features and curls. Egypt, that's an iffy one because that's Ham. We're not Hamites. Probably admixtures, but no. Anyway, all Negro, man. It's all Afro-Asiatic. These are the faces of Shem throughout history, and all of Shem's children. Shem had plenty of children. You know, all the three patriarchs did, but all each of them gave birth, or they fought, they progenerated. I don't know if that's a word. Each of the phenotypes, right? You have the Negroid, which is Shem, the Mongoloid, which is Ham, and Japheth, which is Caucasoid, or Indo-European, Indo-Iranian, Indo-Aryan. Oh, that's Japheth. Afro-Asiatics, that's yeah, I'm having a brain fart moment. That's Shem. That whole topic we're talking about, and Ham, it would be the Eurasian. Actually, that would make more sense. Ham is the Eurasian, Shem's the Afro-Asian, and Japheth is the Indo-European. Yeah, you know. And we're looking at the identities of Shem of Asia. Look at that. These are Shemites. You can pause and look at it, but this is Shem. Look at the Bantu knots. That's Shem. I know they won't be able to etch in all those complete details. But look at that. You have the sinuous eyebrows. You have the matching nose. You can see the bridge right there. You can. They just made it pronounced because they like to exaggerate. But yes, look at the eyes. They close with Afro-Asiatic eyes. Look at them lips. Them lips match them lips verbatim. Look at that. Look at the head shape too, for that matter. Just look at two different Shemites, but you can still see that they're similar. The sinuous eyebrows, the looks, look at the earlobe dressings. Look at that. This is a Buddha statue, or one of them. That's a Shemite, plain and simple. I'm not endorsing idolatry, but yeah. Well, not gonna endorse it, but again, you can tell this is Shem. Clay sculpture portraying the face of the earliest known Eastern European, made from the modern human skull of a black person constructed from fragments found in Pestera Chess, the cave with the bones located in the southwestern Carpathian Mountains of Romania in 2002. The bones were carbon dated between 34,000 and 36,000 years ago. Erroneously declared to be the first European, Grimaldi is thought to be the first European. So you can tell this is definitely a Negro face. You have further Negro faces right here. You have China, circa the Shang in 1500 to 800 BC. Europe, Rome, Naples, Negro faces, so all Negroes. In North America, or probably crossed over to the Bering Strait, and in Egypt. I don't know. Can't really claim that, but you get it. Again, this is a Negro face. Look at that nose. They have to mess up the lips a little bit, but you can still see how thick they actually would be. You got the high cheekbone head shape. You got the sinuous eye. You have the Asiatic eyes, the almond eyes. And look at the kind of color clay that they used. They could have used any other color and they chose this. Had they slapped on the afro, uh, yeah, Japhethites would be losing it. I ain't knocking Japheth. I won't knock out. Hey, the Most High does love the stranger. But again, some of y'all peoples, they like to lie a lot. And again, this was the original face of Europe before the Yemnaya came. Which you can see on my TikTok. Also, I'll make a video on, and that'll be in the Japheth video. I'm losing folks. Anyway, the original inhabitants of mainland Asia and in Europe were Shemites. All Shem. Now, the revision of Shem, we must take into account how much of history that we have learned and will learn from the modern narrative more often than not is falsified and rewritten. Look to all of the major institutions that govern our education, entertainment, and cultures. You will only find either Japhethites or Hamites in the public view. Now, universities and colleges that are ran and operated by fraternal brotherhoods and Masonic lodges who control the flows of information, common information, and suppress actual truth. They in turn work with the entertainment industry and influential people to push the modern narrative. One major part of that is the revision of Shem. Revision of Shem. According to an essay titled Freemasonry and the Development of Greek Letter Fraternities by this guy, it has been long known and documented that the fraternities and Masonic lodges have enduring ties in history with one another, going as far back as the 17th century, having existed in the College of New Jersey, Yale College, and the College of William and Mary. Many of the most prominent figures in American history were Masons and even Grand Master Masons, such as George Washington and Andrew Jackson. Masons, yeah. You can't make that up. And again, the open secret of their existence, you can pause and read what Freemasonry is the oldest fraternal society in the District of Columbia, which is the founding of America, and models itself after the medieval guild system. Prospective candidates petition to join a lodge and are initiated into Freemasonry in 3 steps referred to as degrees. Right? They are taught various signs, symbols, and secret modes of recognition for the respective degrees. Became popular in England and Scotland during the 18th century and spread into Western Europe and the Americas. And look at it. Well, now they say that they're dwindling more than ever, so why are their ranks dwindling? Or they're neither more than ever. Wielded control. They've long wielded qualities most irresistible to thriller writers and conspiracy theorists. So, yeah, like me. Secrecy, politics, power, and celebrity. Founding fathers, presidents, musicians, artists, and businessmen. So, they control, like I just said previously, uh, well, not that one, education, entertainment, and culture, you know? So if they control all of that, that literally includes the presidents, musicians, artists, and businessmen. Come on. Come on, man. Come on. And they knew even then the anti-Masonic Party was the earliest third party in the United States. Formerly a single-issue party, strongly opposed Freemasonry in the United States. It was active from the late 1820s, especially in the Northeast, and later attempted to become a major party, expanding the platform to take positions on other issues. It declined quickly after 1832 as most of its members joined the New Whig Party. It disappeared after 1838. So you could say it was founded back in 1776. This happened literally 50 years after, and it basically died 10 years after that. So the I let's look at the ideology, right? The American school, anti-elitism, anti-Jacksonism, and anti-Masonry. Oh man, you can also read this other part. Party founded by who was a former Mason who founded the party. So inside job basically. But look at that. They also knew the threats. Like look what it says. They posed a threat to the American Republicanism by secretly trying to control the government. I'm no Christian. I don't believe no dang JC, but no, so like it's hostile to Christianity. So like yeah. So again, yeah, it was funny. They knew even then the dangers of it. And we'll get into the nations who oppress us. So as we've seen in the public view of who controls the information, in the background we have the nations of Psalms 83. You have Edom, which is Roman Latins who are Shem, Ishmael, Afro-Arabs who are Shem, Moab, Moors and Murs who are Shem, Amalek, Esau and Canaan, Shem and Ham, the Philistines, the Pelishti or Hamites, Native Americans, Ammon, Lot, which is Shem, Jabal, Phoenicians and Canaan, which is Ham, Tyr, Canaan, and Phoenicians and Canaan, which is Ham and Japheth, Asher, Shem's second born, Shem, the Hagarenes, Ishmael and Japheth, more likely Japheth, mixed in heavily with Ishmael, along with the Grecians, who are the Greeks who are of Javan, and Kittim, who are of Japheth, along with Gog and Magog. These are the nations that have changed history. So the nations of the far north, I'll bring a nation from the far north, and they'll soar upon you like the eagle. Most I was talking about Gog and Magog more than likely. Probably was. I could be wrong, but yeah. Probably wrong, but again, Japheth. As they are confederate against us, they fight among themselves and even swapped and changed their own names among themselves. The narrative wouldn't work if they didn't change everyone, including themselves. So again, it's the name game and swapping names. Again, every name that you see here ending with Shem, they look black. They're black people. They're black looking. And it's hard to tell who's who. Hence why all fam ain't your fam, all brothers ain't your brother, all sisters ain't your sister. And Asher, now we descend from the line of Eber, who descends from Arphaxad, who I think was the third son of Shem, and they come from Asher, the second son. So you can imagine all the nations that came from Asher are Shemites. They're not Hebrews, but they're Shemites. They bear resemblance to us, but they don't exactly look like us. Again, there's over 1.8 billion Africans worldwide, or that no, I think that's the total population of Africa. So there's probably a good majority of them who fit into Asher's lineage. Asher's massive. It was massive. So you can imagine. Our family hates us. Now knowing that Shem is Afro-Asiatic in the literal sense of the term, we must look to the Semitic nations of Psalms 83 who have aided in us being removed from our ancestral lands and history. Seeing these all being of Afro peoples, one should begin to question of just how many of these nations live among us. For Shem is a genetic archetype which causes all of us to bear some resemblance. It dictates the importance of bloodline and family name. All Israelites are Shem, but not all Shem is Israel. Edom, which is Rome, and that is Esau, our forefather's brother. Ishmael, which is the Afro-Arab, brother to Isaac, our forefather's father. Moab and Ammon, who are Moors and Murs, the children of Lot, who is our forefather's second cousin, the son of Lot's brother, or the son of Abraham's brother, which is our second cousin. Amalek, which is Esau, and our forefather's brother, mingled with Canaan, or took on Canaanite wives. And Asher, who is the second born son of Shem, is the progenitor of Assyria and our former captor. So yes, he begat an entire nation, which is a massive nation, as you can imagine, massive. Shortly after he left Babel or Babylon, after Nimrod and all that. So yeah, massive. And quickly touch upon Edom is Rome, sons of Esau. So y'all can look here, according to Torah.com and Conscious Lifestyle. Again, Esau, he's not the father of Greece. We know that's Japheth, but he is the father of Roman Christianity. And look at that, ancestor of Rome. So sources: Rome rewriting history. Isidore Seville, Latin. Isidore was a Hispano-Roman scholar. So again, he was again Gothic. His family stems from the Goths. So yeah, and this is the map he made, which is incorrect because Japheth didn't get Europe. Shem has Europe, and well, Shem owns Europe and Asia. They were given the lands of the north and the islands Japheth, so this is incorrect. And Shem, probably Africa, and also more likely the Americas, because Ham was just wilding and probably just wanted to be kept away from everybody else. I'll make a video about that. Rome and the Latin falsehood. So again, this is the guy you saw earlier who made this, the etymologies, but written by Isidore Seville. So he basically wrote this, conspiring. Oh, he was taught by the Romans, and Romans Edom, and Edom dislikes us very much. So you can see how a lot of this isn't exactly accurate, and the propaganda spans back decades, centuries, I should say. And again, you can see where he came from, Spania, which is just a Roman province. So again, he was educated by the Romans to give a doctored history off rip. So gotta remember that. Ishmael and the Afro-Arabs. Ishmael being the son of Abraham and Hagar. This would make him Afro-Asiatic in appearance. So Ishmael is just a black dude, like how Isaac was a black dude, like how Jacob, black dude. So he's black. Afro dudes. He is the father of the 12 chieftains who would rule the 12 tribes who would inhabit lands spanning from Havilah by Shur, which is close to Egypt, all the way to Ashur. So he inhabits the land spanning from Havilah by Shur. So Shur is known to be a desert region, and according to the Strong's Concordance, the land of Havilah possibly belonging to the son of Cush by the same name, or possibly an eastern region, but it is also bordered on by the land of Ashur, which is Assyria. Afro-Arabs are nomadic in culture and have strong ties to Islam in similar conditions or similar traditions. So yes, they probably do inhabit they probably either inhabit the Arabian area or the Saharan area. It's one of the two. I mean, they're connected literally, but like it's one of the two, perhaps. Still researching that, but yeah, Ishmael is the Afro-Arab, and all the Afro groups you can pause and look at it, but nations where they live and the languages that they speak. So research that. Then Moors, descendants of Lot. Lot had two sons, daughters in drunkenness, and those were Moab and Ammon. They would go on to take wives from Canaan and begin their respective nations. They had also been a mighty people throughout history. They had taken their land from the giants living there previously by the Most High, according to Deuteronomy 2:20. So yeah, they conquered their land from giants. They were a mighty nation, and that they are the fathers of Moors. In the modern era, it has been claimed and cross-referenced that the Moors in history are descendants of Moabites and Ammonites. This claim coming from the Moorish Science Temple, which with plenty of evidence to back it up. So yeah, y'all can research this yourselves, but they do claim and state that they descended from Moab and Ammon. So there's that. You know, they come from them. So watch out for the Moors. I'll say. Can't really get too comfortable with them because we're told not to mingle with them, to congregate with the Moors. So be careful. Or Canaan, and they married heavily into Canaan, so they look different than us. You can probably spot the differences. It's the eyes, more than likely. They probably have the eyes probably look different. In Assyria, Ashur's dominion of Africa. Ashur is the second son of Shem, a forefather to a branch of Shemites such as Arphaxad, or forefather after Shem, meaning there is a numerous amount of Assyrians of different families that fall under his name alone. As you can see on the right, this is our lineage from Arphaxad, showcasing how many generations that would span from Ashur. So again, we are in the generation probably farther down, like here, maybe even farther, that come from Joseph. Whereas in the place of Arphaxad right here, it would be Asher and all of his descendants. So it's probably massive, the amount of people that would be Assyrians, more than likely, probably. It One of the best cases or ideas that was purported by Lex would be that the Fulani are Assyrians according to their flag and their culture, and also Islam and the rise of dominance and how they took over the majority of West Africa. You can pause and read. Keep going. And maps right here again, Fulani and emergence of Islam and rise to dominance. So they were just sweeping and taking over. Oh, yeah, that's it. Now let me go back. But yeah, this is basically that for the video of Shem. So hope you guys enjoy it. You take information from it, and that yeah, this is it for the video. So Shalom, and I'll see you on the next one. Easy. Shalom.